match in Vegas. And then the game that I want to talk about that I think a lot of Arizona fans are happy about is they made a statement in Pullman, beating the Cougars 44-6. You got 4 teams on buys this week, and joining us now is Ted Robinson, play-by-play voice of the Pac-12 Network. How you doing, Ted? What's going on, man? How are you?
Well, I survived Pullman. The Cougs didn't survive it, but I did, and it was great to be, because look, where you guys live is even more so. I'm in the Bay Area. It's 90 degrees here today. So my point is, you don't get fall football flavor that much, and we did in Pullman. It was a true fall feeling on Saturday, and then for the Wildcats, it was just a supreme whooping. I mean, it was just incredibly impressive given what they had just endured the week before against USC. To have enough in the tank to make that trip up there and kick the Cougars' tail was pretty sweet.
That doesn't happen, those kind of games like that, very often. What was there any signs? I mean, you had been doing your prep going into that game. Was there a key injury or something that really triggered this, or just Arizona came up? I mean, they're coming off that great game against USC the week before.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is really much more about Arizona, because I said this, I thought they were the better team against USC. USC had the best player, and the best player won that game. But the Cats were right there. And now you're asking yourself, okay, it's the longest trip in the league to go from Tucson to Pullman. Can you get up there and have, what do you have in the tank? And they had a ton. And Washington State had played very poorly at UCLA the week before, and the Wildcats defensively just followed that up. And I'll tell you right now, I mean, obviously everyone in every Wildcat fan is talking about Noah Fafita, this and that, and the other thing. Johnny Nansen deserves a ton of credit. That defense is playing way better than any Arizona defense I can recall in recent history.
And Ted, when you watch Jedd Fisch and the growth of the Arizona program and Noah Fafita, watching him, what in particular, you talked about the defense right there, that you noticed that you covered them during this Jedd Fisch era?
Yeah, it's just more talent. I mean, look, he had a terrific recruiting year 2 years ago. Those are the guys that are all sophomores now, second-year players like Tetero McMillan, like Noah Fafita. And those are the guys that are kind of Jonah Savanaya, the tackle, George Morgan. I mean, these guys are the linchpins of your program, and they're second-year guys right now. So they're just growing up a little bit. And you could see it coming last year. The parallel I've used is to Oregon State. To me, the Wildcats are a year behind Oregon State. And last year, the question was, could the Beavers start taking those almost games and win a few of them? And they're doing it. Now look where they are this year. The Cats are starting to do that now. Last Saturday's a huge one. That's a game you're not favored. You're going up on a tough road trip, and you not only win, but you crush them on their field. That is what Arizona fans have to hope. That's the beginning of the turn.
And I got to tell you what, Ted, watching Cameron Ward, who's been pretty much money the entire year last week with the one pick, very pedestrian with the offense, as you mentioned, but watching Cam Ward seems somewhat confused in the coverages, and you just didn't see that horizontal passing game get on track at all.
Agreed. 2 weeks in a row. And the other element there is that Washington State's offensive line struggles. They cannot run the ball at all. And that's putting defenses, of course, well, that puts defenses in a great spot. Arizona didn't even respect the run after probably the first quarter. And when you can drop 7 or sometimes 8 into cover, go ahead, try to beat you doing that.
Ted, I've got a question for you about the Washington State, Oregon State situation. What's your feel on that now that another lawsuit has been filed? Are they going to just go to court all through this the entire season? Are we ever going to get a conclusion on this?
Well, that's a great point, and it's sad. It's just so sad that not only did a bunch of schools just cover their own rear ends and look after themselves and dash, but now the 2 schools, and actually there were 4 schools that were left behind, Stanford and Cal, took care of their own business and got their way into the ACC. Washington State and Oregon State are left there. And I know from being in Pullman last weekend, they're talking about various options. The best one is to keep the Pac-12 brand, and of course what goes with it would be the revenues and the possessions intact. what they need, guys, and here's the only good news about this, is they need some finality soon. And they really want to have it by the first week of December, because that's when the transfer window opens. And both schools understand that if players don't know what next season will look like, who they play, how we play, they'll be more tempted to jump in the portal. So I assume November is going to be when we get some clarity. And the sad part to me, the really sad part, is that, and I said this to an athletic director last weekend, universities are now like a presidential candidate. Universities in this conference are losing money from their donors to pay lawyers.
Uh-huh.
That's not supposed to be the mission of your school. And so it's kind of sad that the schools that have chosen to leave, that took the money and ran, are now paying lawyers to fight Washington State and Oregon State. I have a hard time with that.
I'm with you.
Ted, as you look on and this weekend's game, ASU's got to travel up to take on Washington, who's currently ranked number 5. You got Oregon. He only dropped one at number 9. But watching this Washington team, and I think probably the leader in the clubhouse right now, Michael Penix Jr., for the Heisman, you watch this head coach come from Sioux Falls and then Fresno State, and then now where he's at. What do you notice about, not particularly his teams in the past, but what he's done at Washington overall, besides having that talent with this program in the last couple of years?
Yeah, I think it's like Kalen DeBoer. I think it's a great story because you don't have to have a huge name. You don't have to have an NFL pedigree to be successful. Kalen DeBoer is a upper Midwest guy that worked his way up, and now we had
2 minutes
contact with him 2 years ago when he was coaching Fresno State, and had Jake Hayner, who's now in the NFL, and they were good. And we had a game. They played at UCLA, and the week before the game met with him and his coaches. And I remember we were all impressed. Go, wow, never heard of this guy. Really impressive. And so then Washington turns around, hires him. Yeah, it's a gamble because he doesn't have that kind of name. But man, it's been brilliant. And I'll tell you, as Dion is trying to show you in Colorado, you better hire good people around you. Dion hired 2 coordinators with an awful lot of experience. Well, the secret sauce in Washington, a lot of it is the offensive coordinator, Ryan Grubb. He's good, really good. And, Saban went after him last year. Washington paid him to stay. You watch that offense, and you know why. And so here's the fast forward, guys. As good a player as Michael Penix
1 minute.
is, I think that will be part of the NFL's eval on him, will be how much of it is the scheme he's been in.
Ted, we always enjoy your time, buddy. Thanks. I know you got somewhat of a week off, so you got a list of things to do around the house.
Honeydews?
Honeydews.
Oh, no, it's called grandkids. You're kidding me. The grandkids are the ones that pull me and push me. But it's a wonderful thing to have.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, hey, thanks for the time as always. We appreciate it, Ted. Have a good week.
Good. All right, guys. Great. Take care.
Ted Robinson joining us here on Rock and Manooch with Jimmy B. Always nice enough. He's got the week off. His Pac-12 network is off this week for football. As Washington State at Oregon, that's an ABC game. Utah, USC is Fox. FS1 will have Arizona State, Washington, and then UCLA, Stanford, a late one on ESPN. Ted's brought to you today by All City Towing. They're growing. They continue to grow. Their fleet is gigantic, and they need people. They are hiring. Go to allcitytowing.com and search careers. You'll see everything up on their website. That's allcitytowing.com. So who is the first person to refer to the F word as an F-bomb? He was a Hall of Fame catcher. We're going to tell you who that is in our Valley Chevy dealers random fact of the day. But we need a contestant to challenge one of the beautiful Twin Peaks girls here from the Deer Valley location. We'll take the 5th caller. You're going to have 3 games to pick. Jags at Saints, ASU at Washington, and Cards at Seahawks. Those are 3 games. You'll compete against one of the young ladies here at Twin Peaks. The phone number is 602-260-191.